then it makes it easier for those who are absent or not attending to attend and to cover the topic. So this is the session structure. And I think the important aspect is that of your upcoming assessment in week 4. That's your in-class individual case study. So you must attend the class either through live session or on campus, and we have to do this assessment within the class time. So it has a weightage of 25%. Let me check the timings that your coordinator might have shared with the instructors here. I think it's somewhere in the announcements as well. Yeah, so your in-class test time is 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. 7:30 to 8:30, you must be connected through the live session. Technically 6:30, please come up either on campus or live session so that I can make sure you're sitting in the right class. And then we can start your assessment by 7 o'clock. We won't wait until 7:30. We'll start at 7 o'clock to finish it up around 8 o'clock. Okay. So
sorry, ma'am. So if we come to the class, we don't need to bring our own laptop, or are we given one?
You have to bring your laptop because there is no laptop here. It's not a lab, it's a classroom.
Right. So is it going to be like a open book sort of exam?
Yeah. So you'll be provided with a case study and you will have to analyze sitting with the instructor and complete your work. That's exactly what you have to do.
Okay.
Ma'am, week 4 means this is coming week, right?
Yeah, next week, 20th of July. Today is 13th, right? Yeah, next week you must be attending the class either through live session or face-to-face here. Okay. But we encourage the students to do it face-to-face here. If you cannot, you can still do the live session. Okay. Now, research steps, we were looking at the steps in research, that how do you identify the gap? So it's not a PhD research, obviously it's part of the MS coursework. So you need to distinguish like what has already been done and what do you think you're going to contribute in. Okay. And then don't forget to add the references and a systematic literature review where you add the year-wise reference list as well. Now, talking about the research problem, you have to identify what is your research question, okay? What is the issue that you're going to solve? For example, do the students struggle with the online learning? What are the problems with the online learning systems? And how do you think you can resolve them? Okay, so your goal or aim is what can be done to make the life of the online students easier so that they can outperform in their studies. And what are the factors that can influence? Okay, and objective would be to investigate into various aspects of online education. Over there, you can compare what are the other online education systems and how does your system compete with them? What is the better part that your system brings along that can be added in? Now, 2 things you must remember, there should be an industry problem, and then you have to identify the gap, like what is missing, which part is not there that you can add up as research gap. It is motivated by the existing research gap. Problem can be observed by researcher or informed from industry. However, the first step is to research literature. So any problem that you state that, okay, this problem exists, it cannot be confirmed until you provide supporting literature to support your evidence, to support the hypothesis that you are making that yes, students do face problem while going through the online learning management systems. Then researcher ABC has got these findings in the year 2004, 2013, 2020, 2024 maybe. So try to find references that are more recent, 5 to 7 years or 3 to 7 years. Previous 3 to 5 years would be a good number. And you have to, you can't make it or identify it as a problem until unless you dig down that this phenomena exists in literature. Okay, so the support from the literature is really crucial. So the phenomena of interest, or POI, is considered as a very important concept. So you need to lift up those problems, and then you have to tell that this POI, this phenomena of interest, exists, and these are the problems that this area has got with the support or evidence from the literature. Okay. So that's the core of the research problem. So you can feel free to take this picture, the image of this thing as a guideline, that's exactly what you have to identify. So you need to go through the observation for the problem statement. You observe, then you find out supportive literature. Okay, researcher XYZ, ABC, and a couple of researchers in industry, they have already supported or they already found similar issues. So this phenomena does exist in literature. And then how do I approach this problem? So what is the gap? What is the gap? What is this research contributing to determine? So identify that gap, and then you have to formulate that, okay, this is the problem under discussion, and this is how I define and I further refine that problem, and then you can establish the importance, that why is it important to resolve it. Okay. So that forms the complete roadmap to your problem statement. So you require support. First of all, you need to observe and make sure that problem area is of your interest and it makes sense. And then you require support from literature, and then you can find the gap. You can tell what is missing in the previous studies. How do you think you can enhance or you can incorporate better aspects into this research? And that would be kind of your formulation of your solution, but obviously highlighting that this problem exists. That's why you are digging down into this particular area. Okay, so that's the roadmap to your problem statement. Now you have to read this problem statement shared via Moodle. Let's go to your Moodle here. In the Moodle, they have week 3, topic 3. This is your problem. Yeah. So please spend 15 minutes reading this one. That's interesting. Older adults struggling to use smartphones effectively. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
In the example, in the example that you showed,
Mhm.
especially in where you have pinpointed the specific problems like font size or button, etc. There is a bracket and it is written the citation. So if we find any specific problem, is that have to be like reviewed by an author or something like that? Do we need to give reference for that, or is that we can I mean we can share our views on that?
No, you have to provide the literature references.
Mhm.
So, for example, here they are trying to identify reviewing and then citations. You can see that yellow thing with citation.
Mhm.
It means you have to add some support from the literature.
Like some author have already discussed about that specific problem.
Yeah, this is just one example, right? This is
Mhm.
just an example. So once you identify your problem statement, then you have to find out citation in your problem domain.
Mhm. And another question is, ma'am, that there is some common mistake that you have shown us that, and one of these is jumping directly on something that is uninvestigated. So then what should we do? Like? I can understand that we first have to establish the problem statement, right? And then after we have to go to something that is uninvestigated.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the case?
So in the final problem statement or in the very beginning?
In the beginning, I guess. There's some common mistake. It seems like there's some common mistake.
Which paragraph are you referring to?
I think it's below. It's below this. I think below this. Yep, common mistakes in presenting the research. But the second one, directly jumping to the conclusion that nobody has investigated before. What does that mean?
Yeah, it means that you are jumping to certain conclusion that nobody has investigated it before.
Mhm.
Lack of proper reading. So you did not cover all of the aspects. So you are jumping to the conclusion that online students, they are not satisfied. They cannot. So you are making a statement that nobody else has provided the evidence. So without any evidence, you are generating that statement.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, but if somebody has already stated, then you can add the references in.
And one last thing,
Sorry, your audio is not clear. Can you please come again?
The subject of our case study, the subject of our research will be revealed on the class. On
Case study will be provided to you on campus. You mean for assessment 1?
Can you for this one?
This one you have to select your own. Yeah, for assessment 2, you have to select your own. Because if you go up here, this is assignment 1 or the assessment 1, that's a test assessment. And then you have got individual research project, that's assessment 2. Okay, this one you have to do by Sunday of week 7, and you will have to pick up the details as provided in the subject guideline. That's here.
And about assessment 1, it will be built on the class.
Yeah, it has to be done in class. You can do it online if you cannot make it to the class, but it will be done starting from 6:30 p.m. next session. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so developing a research problem. So you have to write down your observation. Older adults struggle to use smartphones effectively. This observation suggests a potential area for research, but this statement obviously should be supported by the supportive literature. Okay, what was the issue, problem, or controversy that the researchers wanted to address? What controversy leads to a need for this study? Okay, what was the concern being addressed behind this study? Plus your support from the references. So you will review the existing literature, and then you will try to identify the gap. So what is not studied yet? So you need to identify potentially the gap that is not covered and deficiency in the literature, something that is missing from the literature that needs to be addressed. Identifying the gap. For example, existing studies have not focused on the design of smartphone interfaces for older adults. But this one is again relying on assumptions. So if you have any support from the literature, then it would be a valid statement. Otherwise, without citation, obviously we cannot accept. Then you have to determine the gap and exhaustive reading, critically reviewing the existing theories, reading future research directions. Then you formulate the problem statement. Again, provide citation for this one. Refining the problem statement, establishing the importance that why do you identify that as a problem? You have to evaluate the effectiveness of audio announcements in aiding visually impaired passengers on city buses. So this is the refined statement. And public transport can significantly improve the independence and safety of visually impaired individuals. So how do you add further refinement onto the importance to highlight the importance of certain topic or certain problem statement? So the common mistakes in presenting the research gap include lack of proper reading. You directly jump to the conclusion that nobody has investigated. Assuming that nobody has investigated, that means incomplete research gap analysis. Lack of justification for addressing the gap and lack of academic writing style, not giving credit to the earlier works. So you need to acknowledge earlier works that have been done on the same topic. You will not take a break since we might be finishing earlier as well. Research problem for your research project. Yeah, that's your activity. So if we go back to assessment number 2, Which one is one of them is teamwork. This could be group or individual, group or individual. Now, what is literature review? Anyone who would like to add on to the definition of literature review? Yes, students. Could you please define what is meant by literature review? Online students.
It's about doing a research about the existing work that has been carried out in certain area to find out what existing methodologies followed and what are other techniques followed to like achieve some set of goals in that particular technical field. And to it's like simply to get updated about current practices or other research methods, analyzing methods or such criteria.
Basically, you require support as an evidence from the existing researchers, previous researchers, so that you can perform that analysis as well. Okay, so that's why you refer to the other researchers to get a support that yes, this problem is identified as a phenomenon of interest. Okay. Anyone else who would like to add on? Yeah, good, Anil. Thank you. So the first objective, first importance is that it helps you to identify the gaps in the knowledge. Okay. So you can tell that for this phenomena, these are the gaps that already exist. And since the researchers, they have already identified. So you get a support that this is identified as a phenomena and we are going to continue to further investigate on this one. So yeah, so if anyone would like to add on to this one, online students. So again, relevant theories and concepts, they are further supported. So you can develop the research questions out of that as well. Surveying the literature, spotting the gaps or controversies, refining and narrow down and formulating the question.
Like in avoids duplication?
Yeah, sorry?
In avoids duplication?
Avoids duplication. How?
like an importance of literature review. I think so.
Okay, so can you suggest an example?
Nah, sorry for that.
Yeah, because if we think of potentially we require more support. We require multiple references to support our statement. So even if we are getting duplicate references, that's fine. That would further provide more support to your problem statement. So there's no harm if we are getting multiple supportive statements in the same discipline. Okay. That's good. Yeah, please add, keep adding and keep asking so that you can further clarify what are you trying to translate on. Appropriate research methods, they need to be identified.
Ma'am, I have another question.
Mhm.
Like in our research, we have to find some specific points or parts that have been not solved in previous studies, right?
Mhm.
So then how are we gonna be, I mean, 100% sure that this part has been unsolved? Like this part could have been solved, but we are not aware of that. It can
So
be
for that, you need to study the papers and then
Mhm.
determine that, okay, this part is sorted and need to identify which part do you think needs attention.
like we're gonna study other authors' research, then we have to find a gap in their research, right?
That's correct. So if you look into the other authors, you will see most of the papers they have a conclusion and future work section. Usually they put the things that are not done in the conclusion and future work. That okay, we have already achieved those goals, but yes,
Mhm.
if we had time, we would have done this. Then you can check whether this future work was done by the others or not. If
Mhm.
not, then you spot the gap.
Then how are we gonna find those? I mean, one also may not have find the solution, but other can find that solution for that
So
part.
that's a very good question. So you can go to scholars.google and
Mhm.
then you need to find out relevant papers in the same area and try to determine if other researchers did further investigate on the issue that this team has highlighted as future work. If not,
Understood.
then yes, you have
We
identified
can,
the gap.
yeah.
You can flag that as a gap. For example, here they provide the example of children's reading habits. Method might be a survey given to kids about their favorite books. The literature review lists how people have researched the topic by examining various studies. This helps others to see what methods have been used before. So if somebody has used focus groups rather than surveys, because students or those little kids, they might not be very comfortable to answer questions in survey. So why not just go and sit down with them and do the focus group study? But obviously, you will require the ethical approval, working with children check, and lots of other approvals will be mandatory. But that might bring more information in as compared to just letting them do a survey that they are not even reading the question carefully and answering the questions. So that's one example. Now, in order to determine whether research is original and relevant, we look at the literature review because if they have done enough research in terms of reading the previous literature and they have referenced them in the literature review section, it means that the relevant research is already done and you can then pinpoint or identify the gaps. Literature review for the study, for example, the source, article type, whether it is pilot, empiric, or LR, another literature review. Study methodology used, quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method. Quantity of data collected. If it is qualitative, then you might not have any data. Country where it is done, industry, what were the results? You can write down the 3 to 5 key results that they identified. I think this would provide a really good example or as a starting point for your work. Your literature review table and literature review discussions. Let's look at the Moodle. I think they might have added in the Moodle. Examples, literature review, LR, examples for research proposal. Yeah, that's a good example. So you can read through this one. So you can see how many references are further added to support your literature review. That's the second example. And here we have example number 3, just to read through these ones. So 3 different examples are presented here. So which one do you think is the one that you like? Yes, any questions, students? I think third one has distinguished with headings and explanation of the topic separately. So that's more detailed one. Yeah, so these are the different repeatable databases that you can use as search engines. Google Scholar, Web of Science, Scopus, ResearchGate, Tosh, PubMed, IEEE, Science Direct, JSTAR, Springer Link. So they are all like really good quality journal papers that can be referenced. Now, what is a hypothesis? For example, students who study with background music achieve higher test scores than those who study in science. Or another hypothesis could be students who sit down with, as a study group versus those who are doing individual study. What is the performance like? Which one is doing better? So hypothesis would be the one doing the group study. Are they better? So we need to tell that, okay, the students sitting in the group study, they are performing better. So that's our hypothesis. Then we go ahead and find out the null hypothesis. We make it false, that there's no relationship between the Bayesian phenomena. And then we try to identify the factors that technically affect them. Okay, so the null hypothesis and then the alternative hypothesis. That's the basic scientific analysis structure, that you determine the hypothesis, then you define the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis and the alternative. So CSR, corporate social responsibility, has no relationship with the organizational effectiveness. Alternative hypothesis would be CSR has a positive impact on the OA. Okay. So similarly, if we are looking at group study versus individual study, So first we will say that, okay, group study, whether it is group or individual, there is no influence on the work performance for each individual. And then we are going to create the alternative hypothesis that yes, those who study in group settings, they score better as compared to students who are sitting in the individual settings. Okay. So that would be another example. Then we have research scope and we have an activity to watch your video. You can find the link inside the Moodle. Let's try to look at that one, research scope and Harvard referencing citations. So scope is basically what is included in your research and what is not. So you have to clearly identify.
Yeah, ma'am, it's mean the boundaries of research, like what gonna we take or
Sorry?
ma'am, the scope of research mean like limitation of research, like what gonna we can take and what gonna we can exclude it like this.
Yeah, not the, yeah, but defining the boundaries that this is included in our
Yeah.
research, this is not. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yes.
Sorry? Yes?
We can't hear, ma'am.
Sorry?
We can't hear
Hello,
this
ma'am.
video.
Yes, same. I can't hear, ma'am.
So the link is provided here in the Moodle, research scope, Harvard referencing. So we
Yeah,
finished
Miss, I
this
have
one.
later.
Okay, so you have already seen that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. And then there's a support for Harvard referencing style here. So how do you refer? I think you might have already accessed to this one and might have experienced doing the Harvard style referencing, but this is further support to make sure that you are doing it correct, because this time, if you're not doing it correct, your scores will get affected. So make sure you are doing it in the correct way. And so for week 3, we have this example case study. Yeah, that you can work around on this one. And let me know if you have any questions. There's another video link that you can watch. Cheating or learning, walking the AI. That will help you further understand the research topic here. So research design, exploratory, conclusive, or experimental. So exploratory is qualitative, and qual means that you're looking at survey, the interviews, not the surveys, but the interviews and the texture, the quant. While the quant would refer to the survey instrument, where you can do certain number crunching. Experimental is again quantitative. So that's Harvard in-text citation and referencing. That link is provided in the Moodle. I think we have covered most of the aspects since they used to do the assessment in week 3 before. This time we are doing it in week 4. So that should be okay. Any questions, students? Okay, I think I'll go through another round of attendance. So next week you have your assessment, students. Make sure you're going through the case study sample that's provided in the inside the Moodle. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Because your assessment 1 is in-class case study, 25%.
And coming week, 20th July.
Yes, that's 20th July, coming week.
Okay,
I
ma'am.
think I will download your class list to send you the email as well. So I'll stop recording here.